Monsoon risks are not surprising. What is surprising is how often the same gaps remain open when the first heavy rain arrives. Water entering a panel room, a slippery access path, a temporary cable running through a wet area, a blocked emergency route, a roof leak that everyone noticed but no one closed. These are not always new risks. Many of them are visible before the rain becomes heavy. That is why pre-monsoon safety should not be treated as a seasonal checklist activity. It should be treated as a control readiness exercise. In this video, we will look at what a useful pre-monsoon inspection should cover, how findings should move into actions, and how OQSHA helps teams track closure before rain exposes the risk. Monsoon risk is not only about rainfall. In industrial sites, rain affects access, visibility, electrical safety, emergency movement, housekeeping, storage, and work control. A walkway that is safe in dry weather can become a slip-and-trip risk when water, mud, oil, or loose material is present. A small roof leak can become a serious issue if water reaches electrical equipment, control panels, stores, or production areas. Temporary wiring becomes more dangerous when it is exposed to wet surfaces, poor insulation, or unmanaged routing. Outdoor materials can shift, degrade, or block movement if they are not stored properly. Drains that are partially blocked before the season can create waterlogging once the rain becomes frequent. And emergency routes that are already crowded can become even harder to use when visibility is low or access paths are wet. This is why monsoon readiness should not be limited to one department. It involves EHS, maintenance, electrical teams, security, operations, housekeeping, and area owners. The real challenge is not only identifying these risks, the real challenge is making sure they are closed before the next weather exposure. A useful pre-monsoon checklist should focus on the areas where rain can convert a small gap into a serious operational risk. The first area is drainage. Teams should check whether drains are clear, whether water can flow properly, and whether low-lying areas are likely to collect water. The second area is roof leaks and water ingress. This includes production areas, stores, electrical rooms, panel rooms, utility areas, staircases, and entry points. The third area is electrical safety. This is one of the most important parts of monsoon readiness. Teams should check electrical panels, exposed cables, temporary wiring, outdoor power points, earthing condition, cable routing, and protection from water contact. The fourth area is access safety. Walkways, stairs, ladders, ramps, loading areas, and entry points should be checked for slip, trip, and fall risks. The fifth area is outdoor storage. Materials, chemicals, tools, scrap, packaging, and loose items should be protected from rain, wind, movement, or unsafe stacking. The sixth area is fire and emergency readiness. This includes checking whether fire extinguishers, hydrants, emergency exits, assembly points, access roads, and emergency routes are clean, visible, and usable. The checklist should not only ask, "Was this checked?" It should ask, "What was found? Who owns the action? By when will it be closed? And what proof confirms closure?" That is where a checklist becomes a control system. Let us look at how this can be managed inside OQSHA. The workflow starts with scheduling a pre-monsoon inspection. The inspection can be planned for specific areas such as electrical rooms, production floors, warehouses, outdoor yards, utility areas, rooftops, access roads, or emergency routes. This helps teams move from a general seasonal instruction to a structured inspection plan. Next, the inspector can open the checklist and start capturing observations area by area. For example, if waterlogging is found near an entry point, the finding can be recorded directly in the system. If a temporary cable is seen near a wet zone, the observation can be captured with a photo. If an emergency route is blocked, that can be logged immediately. This is important because visual proof makes the finding easier to understand and harder to ignore. Now the finding should be categorized. Is it a drainage issue? Is it an electrical control gap? Is it a slip and trip observation? Is it a fire access issue? Is it related to housekeeping, storage, or emergency readiness? Once the category is clear, the severity can be assigned. Not all observations carry the same level of risk. A minor housekeeping issue may need correction, but exposed wiring near a wet area requires faster attention. This is where risk-based prioritization matters. After that, the action can be assigned to the right owner with a due date. This is one of the most important steps. A finding without an owner usually becomes a repeated finding. A finding with an owner, due date, and closure tracking becomes manageable. Inside OQSHA, teams can track whether the action is open, in progress, overdue, or closed. This helps EHS and operations leaders see which monsoon readiness actions are still pending. Now let us look at closure. Closure should not only say done. The responsible person should add remarks, attach photographs, and provide evidence that the issue has actually been corrected. For example, if a blocked drain was cleared, the closure should show the cleared drain. If a cable was rerouted, the closure should show the corrected cable path. If an emergency route was cleaned, the closure should show the usable route. And if an electrical panel was protected from water ingress, the closure should show the final condition. This makes the workflow stronger. The inspection creates the finding. The finding becomes an action. The action gets an owner. The owner closes it with evidence. And the team verifies whether the risk is actually reduced. That is the difference between completing a checklist and closing risk. For leaders, pre-monsoon readiness should be reviewed through clear questions. Which areas have repeated findings? Are the same drains, access points, storage areas, or electrical zones creating problems every year? Which actions are still open? Which actions are overdue? Which electrical or fire-related controls remain vulnerable? Are emergency routes still clean, visible, and usable? Are outdoor materials stored safely? Are slip and trip observations being closed or only reported? These questions help leaders move beyond checklist completion, because a checklist can be marked complete even when important actions are still pending. But a control dashboard should show what is still open, what is high risk, and what needs immediate attention. That is where digital tracking supports better monsoon readiness. It helps teams review the condition of the site before the weather tests it. The best monsoon checklist is the one that closes risk before rain exposes it. Pre-monsoon safety is not only about inspecting drains, panels, walkways, storage areas, and emergency routes. It is about making sure every finding is captured, assigned, tracked, and closed with evidence. With OQSHA, teams can structure pre-monsoon inspections, capture observations with photos, assign corrective actions, track overdue items, and verify closure before the next weather exposure. So the inspection does not remain a seasonal formality. It becomes a practical readiness workflow. If your team is building a monsoon readiness workflow, OQSHA can help you structure it.